So let's take a look at Core Scientific here. So here's our June update. So operating over at 180,000 owned and co-located ASIC servers, they produced about 1,106 self-Bitcoin mines. Daily self-mining increased by 14% from June 1st of 34.8 to June 30th of 39.8. So a nice increase there, obviously. They are going to have a second quarter earnings call on August 11th. And here is some details from them. So this is kind of commentary from the management team. So throughout June, we continued to add data center capacity, grow our self-mining assets, and deploy additional co-located ASIC servers for our customers, said Mike Levitt, Core Scientific Chief Executive Officer. Our industry is enduring tremendous stress as capital markets have weakened, interest rates are rising, and the economy deals with historic inflation. Our company has successfully endured downturns in the past, and we are confident in our ability to navigate the current market turmoil. Hopefully that is the case, right? They have been growing quite tremendously, and my biggest concern with them is obviously the debt that they do have. So hopefully that gets worked out and they're okay going forward. So continuing on here, so we are working to strengthen our balance sheet and enhance liquidity to meet this challenging environment and continue to believe that we will be operating in excess of 30 exahash in our data centers by year-end 2022. So that is a huge milestone for them to reach, obviously. They remain focused on executing our plan while taking advantage of distress opportunities that may arise. So distress opportunities, obviously maybe some of the miners are being way undervalued right now. You also have the AC miners that are, that are on the spot market that are going for 40, 50% off from where they were. That might be an advantageous time to possibly buy something like that. So, and then obviously they look forward to updating shareholders in more detail during our regular scheduled earnings conference call planned for August 11th. So that's all good. Data centers, not much there that I want to talk to you about. Self-mining. So Bitcoin production benefited from server deployments during the month, but production advances were limited by a substantial increase in curtailment activity. So obviously they've been shutting down a little bit here during the obviously hot days to help with the grid. We already covered daily production that increased 14%. And then their self-mining fleet of approximately 103,000 ASIC servers producing 10.3 exahash, which is a huge increase for them over May production updates. The company expects to deploy approximately 70,000 additional self-mining ASIC servers over the next 6 months. Approximately 90% of the cost of additional servers has already been paid for. So that's also a good thing. As of June, they are approximately 57% self-mined compared to 43% for hosting. So colocation services, they have about 79,000 customer-owned ASICs. And this is where we're going to get into it, where this is actually decreased from where they had in May. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But they are generating 7.6 exahash, which is also obviously a decrease in that. And excuse me, Bitcoin sales. So during the month of June, the company sold 7,202 Bitcoins at an average price of approximately $23,000 per Bitcoin for total proceeds of approximately $167 million. As of June 30th, 2022, the company held 1,959 Bitcoins and approximately $132 million in cash on its balance sheet. So that's actually really good there. Let's talk about a little bit selling. So we've obviously seen this with Bitfarms. Bitfarms had to sell, unfortunately, and especially towards the bottom end of the price for Bitcoin. Cores has had to do the same thing, and I've been saying this for quite a while now, and I'm going to say it again here. I think the best strategy for these miners is a portion to sell, portion to hodl, but not to hodl indefinitely until the price of Bitcoin plummets like it has right now, and then you're forced to sell, which is not a great thing. So had they sold 600 coins or so every month for the past year, they would have had almost like 300 some million. I think I calculated it and I tweeted it. But that's kind of where I think the benefits of both worlds come together is sell, hodl, especially if you can do it. Obviously, when you're producing Bitcoin, you got a lot of electrical costs, you got people you got to pay and everything else. That has to be paid for. I have no problem with companies selling their Bitcoin to pay that and to possibly fund future growth. So, we'll see, but I think that might be the trend going forward here, especially from this bear market. Once we recover, they may actually go into where they hodl and sell a portion, or some may just sell it completely, which is, I'm fine with that as well. Because you just don't know where Bitcoin price is going to be month to month. One month it may go up to 40,000, next month it's going to go down to 15,000, and then you're like, well, crap, now we got to sell because we need, for whatever reason, they need cash. So that's my 2 cents on that one. And proceeds from the Bitcoin sale in June were primarily used for payments for ASIC servers, capital investments in additional data center capacity, and scheduled repayment of debt. So that's good. The company will continue to self-mine Bitcoins to pay operating expenses, fund growth, retire debt, and maintain liquidity, which is good. Otherwise, they're going to be being forced to basically dilute shares, take out more debt, loans, things like that. So their business is to mine Bitcoin. They should be getting paid in Bitcoin and selling it to fund operations, growth, and things like that. So I'm good with that. Grid supports. The company powered down a portion of its data centers operations for a total of 2,472 megawatt hours. I don't know exactly what that translates into as far as how many days, but we'll take a look at the numbers that I have for them, and we're kind of estimating as far as how many days they possibly were shut down for that. Okay, so that's cores. So let's take a look at it. And then the only other thing is I have a little bit different number here. They put down 7,202 Bitcoins. My number is a little bit different, so we'll take a look at it now. So here is core right now for my numbers. Things that got updated, obviously, excuse me, they did mine 1,106 in this for the month of June. That is a little bit of a decrease from May, but May also had one extra day in it. Had they had the extra day to mine, they would have mined more in June than they did in May. So that is okay. The only thing is obviously here, the BTC per petahash went down to 0.10 from 1.23 in May. This could be obviously the curtailment that we talked about where they had to shut down the miners because of the heat and putting more power back into the grid. So that is where we are with BTC right now. HODL is obviously 1,959 right now, valued at about 39,150. I have not updated the price of Bitcoin, which I probably should do that, which is at 20,000 or so right now. Let's see, where is Bitcoin price at right now? Bitcoin price is at 20,369. So we'll update that just to make things more accurate. 20,369. 20,369. There we go. Let's go back to core. So that's valued at about 39 million right now. And we can see here they had BTC HODL of 8,500 or 8,058 at the end of May. They said 7,202. I have them basically selling 7,205. And that is based on that they're still currently hodling 1,959. They did produce 1,106 BTC. That's how I came up with that. And I'm using the price that they provide of 23,000 per Bitcoin on average, which would get them about 165 million or so. Or I believe they reported 163, 162 million, something like that. So that's where we are at with that hash rate. Let's take a look at their hash rate. So current hash rate is 10.3 exahash right now. That is an increase from May of 1.1 exahash. That is the size of some of the miners that I'm currently covering, like, where's DMG? DMG is at 613. DigiHost right now is at 508, so we'll get into that. So that is combined size increase of those two companies right now in 1 month. That is, outstanding. So that is great. So obviously they get the miners installed there. We got about 103,000 miners installed. I have 103,820 there. Miner difference, obviously they installed about 11,000 miners. That is just mind-boggling how many miners they got installed in June. As for hosting, I have them at, which they report 7,600 miners. That is a decrease of about, not 7,000, 7.6 exahash. They were at 8.1 exahash. 500 petahash has been either turned off for one reason or another, or, obviously people have been turning off miners because of the price. So depending on where the petahash is at, but that's basically what it comes out to be. And we've also seen a huge decrease in the number of miners. So 79,000 compared to 93,000 miners in May. So that's obviously been a decrease there. So I'm guessing what's happening here is obviously the hosting, their customers basically are saying, shut us down because of obviously electrical costs and then the cost that you add on to it for upkeep and everything else. I'm sure they're going to charge the customers something for it. So the customers are like, we're just going to turn them off right now. Wait until Bitcoin recovers a little bit, maybe in the 30,000s, 40,000s. Those may get back turned on. So we'll see if that happens. All right, so we covered that. So right now it looks like, based on where we are at with what they mined. Oh, so basically we're looking at about 22 million in revenue for the month of June compared to 36 million in May. Even though they had more miners installed, but the price has come way down in Bitcoin. That is reflecting obviously here. So right now we're looking at the second quarter of possibly having about 101 million in revenue. This is just for their self-mining. I'm not including the hosting mining or the sales of miners that they do as well. This is just for pure self-mining, what they have generated from that. And then we can see here last time we were off by 2.39%. I'd like to stay within that or maybe get a little bit better, but that's definitely where I want to be, within 2.5% of that. So we'll see when they actually report in August where they are and where I had them at. So right now we're looking, if everything stayed the same, which we know it's not, they're going to be growing, but they're going to be about $400 million in revenue. Their current market cap right now is 491 million. So they're basically making, just on their self-mining, basically almost, we're 91 million short, but once they get more miners installed, I'm sure it's going to be close to that. And I think the price is obviously way undervalued from where it should be right now. Stock price obviously went up today a little bit more. I haven't updated this yet. I will in a little bit, before I publish this out to Patreon members, so they'll get updated as well. But yeah, they're way undervalued right now. They are trading at about, and let me see here, if we scroll all the way down, they are at about a 2 PE right now, which is just ridiculous, along with the other miners. So they are also currently about 59% installed from the future hash rate of 17.2 exahash. They are at 10.3, obviously. And the miners that we installed here were the ones, we grouped them a little bit together. So we had a couple of them. So 11,005 miners were installed. These are the 100 terahash miners. So real good miners there. And those are obviously for 20 days. And then I did take them down, how many days they mined in June, to 26 and a quarter, to get them to that 22,100,000 or so, roughly, based on the ending Bitcoin price for June. So that is where we are with that. And then lastly, we'll take a look at it, is the institutions. Institutions has increased to 117 institutions. Percentage owned is still the same, 11.73. We still have two strong buy ratings, 3 regular buy ratings, and the price target has come down a little bit. The high is down 15 from 18, average is 868 from 1240, and the low is 310 from $8. So obviously a big difference here, obviously in the low, and the average not so much on the high, but that is kind of in line where I think they should be as well if we look at it here. So right now, based on what we're looking at, 75% net income from gross revenue would be about 275 million. And if we increase that PE to about a 20, we are right around there, the 15 range. I have them at $17, but obviously Bitcoin goes up. This is all going to go up as well. It's going to change drastically here. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get up higher from that. But it all depends on Bitcoin, where Bitcoin goes. All right, so that's it. That's it for Core. Obviously, a tremendous month for them as far as growth is concerned. We'll see if they can continue, obviously, getting the 70,000 miners installed. That's basically installing another 10,000 miners a month here, a little bit more than that over the next 6 months, which would be tremendous effort by them to getting that. That's it. So great June for Core Scientific here.